Right here.
Well, I really loved the finale, and I was just curious if...
You love the finale? We both fucking died.
It was great, but I mean, I asked the question to Jensen, but he didn't remember it as much, so I wanted to kind of ask it to you. He said, I was curious what kind of changes, or I mean, not changes, but what nonverbal things or that you guys added to the final episode.
I know we did some, and I was like, there was some script stuff, but I know that, I was like, Jared's going to remember this better than I could. The only thing I remembered was that it was supposed to be laying down, and I fought for it to be standing up.
Yes, also the... Sam's line initially in the script, I think still on the final page of the script, was, I don't want to do this alone, and I changed it to, I can't do this alone, so that he could go, yes you can, well I don't want to.
That's right, which was an echo of the pilot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talk about that?
Yeah. Suzanne's crying.
I am.
What else? There were a few callbacks.
3 times tonight.
The callbacks to the pilot were added kind of like on the day, or he and I chatting about it. And it was that was a really funny scene, because usually it was like, hey, we have a scene, we're playing medical examiners, like it's long, there's some weird words. We can go through and read it for an hour, or not an hour, but half an hour, and just go like, get the words down. But for this, it was like, hey, let's go through these words. So we'd start and be like, I can't finish it right now because we have to go back to work. So it was difficult to rehearse the scene. I couldn't read the scene without crying, legit. And so, luckily, I was able to read the scene for several months before filming it. It was still difficult to get to the place where, you know, his hand falls. And it's like, okay, reset back to 1. I'm like, read back to 1. I need a couple days.
That's true, because the beginning of the scene, it's just Sam going into triage mode, right? Like, okay, an injury, my brother's injured. Yeah. Let me handle this. Let me run and go. And you know, so it's not not even close to being emotional. It's just run of the mill. Like, we've had injuries before. Let's just deal with it the way we always deal with it. So going from that to, and you know, for me, Dean's going like, he's processing it like, I don't think I'm coming away from this. I don't think I'm at it. I'm not walking out. I'm not walking away from this. So there was that whole shift. So he's dealing with just being, triage doctor.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's episode 100.
And I'm kind of going from like, is this it? Like, this can't, and then, oh wow, no, this is. Okay, well, get your stuff together, because you've got some things to say. And you need to do that right now, because you don't know how much time you have left. And I think I even threw in that line, I don't know if they used it, but I was like, hey, I don't know how much time I've got, so you need to listen up right now.
Yeah, we did it a few times. Yeah. There was I don't recall, and funny enough, and this isn't trying to avoid the question, I think it legitimately is like trauma for me, you know, because we weren't lying on camera. We were telling the truth. It wasn't our truth, but it was Sam's truth and Dean's truth. And so that for me is like, nah, I ain't going there. Like, so it's difficult to go back and watch it.
I said that it was not at all difficult to find the emotion. The difficult part was keeping the emotion in check and not letting it get out of control. Because it was, I mean, I'm sure you've all had hard cries, and your body starts to react. And I mean, sometimes it can be like convulsing, and it's just like, and we could have both very easily gotten to that point, but that doesn't look good on camera. Nobody wants to see that.
Projectile tears, just splashing.
Flop tears. So yeah, I was saying it was almost more difficult to keep the emotion in its lane.
There was a lot. I remember and I don't know. I did watch like some of the reaction videos, but I couldn't watch without crying, so I haven't watched them in a while. But I remember you did a lot of, I don't want to say improv, but unscripted stuff when you finally have that moment of like, come here. Yeah, there he is. All right, my brother. You know.
There he is.
Oh, I said, let me look at you too.
Yeah, let me, like, I don't think
I don't think any of that.
I bet we can post the actual script pages because it's aired.
Probably. And see how it differed.
Yeah, if y'all want to torture yourselves, you can rewatch the death scene while reading it against the script, because we did a lot, and Bob, who's phenomenal, knew that like we had known these characters for 327 episodes, you know, thousands of days, 12-hour days, 16-hour days sometimes. So he just kind of let us do our thing, and he was like, you know, it wasn't like we were going to go off on a tangent, and he knew that. There was just this mutual trust, right? And so we did play around, and there's a lot that's in there that's unscripted. I'll figure it out before Charlotte. Is that next?
Yeah, Charlotte.
And I'll have better answers, but I'll also check with our ex-bosses / current bosses.
It wasn't just Dean saying goodbye to Sam and Sam having to say goodbye to his brother. It was Jared and Jensen saying goodbye to Sam and Dean too.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of really raw and real emotion in that scene. It was hard to get. It was
hard not to.
It was hard to get through, and it was. I mentioned this earlier that, you know, there's probably at the very least 20 sets of eyeballs within a 5-yard radius of us when we're shooting a scene. You've got, you know, camera operators and focus pullers and boom operators and set deck and props and hair and makeup and grips and electrics and director of photography, all right there. And
for the wide shots, the stunties that we had just killed, because we picked it up kind of from, so.
But I remember seeing some of the crew have to leave set. Yeah. Because they couldn't watch it, which that was new.
Yeah.
Because they were watching us say goodbye, and they knew the gravity of that, and they too were sitting there going, I can't believe that we're watching this right now. I can't believe they're saying goodbye to each other. This is unbelievable. Yeah. I remember when the goodbye scene with Castiel and Dean. I was like, oh my gosh, well, if this is any indication of what it's going to be like this is a wreck. And that was very hard. I thought Misha did an incredible job, but I just remember. I remember looking over at Maisie, who was a puddle. She couldn't handle it, but she also was like, I want to see this with my own eyes. And that poor girl was a mess.
Yeah, and there's also when it was initially scripted, and I don't remember if we went to blues or greens or yellow. I don't know how many revisions the finale went through, but I remember it wasn't initially scripted that the last words to each other were the first words to each other, on screen at least. And we changed that, or we had the writers change it. It might be scripted in the final edit, but hey, it's Sammy, Dean. That wasn't initially part of it.
That was you. You came up with that idea, and you also came up with the idea of the clothes kind of echoing the pilot outfits, which I thought was just a nice little nod to the past.
It's fun. We tried so hard to find the shirt that Sam wore in the pilot that was so fucking long ago. I think the company
probably sold it on eBay in like 2010.
Exactly. But there was a lot. You know, it's always hard to. It's so It had become so. It had been so collaborative for so long that, you know, when we go through it, it'd be like, it'd be a great time to break in some stuff from the pilot just to help bring it full circle. And so we did, and I will go back, and if he wants to, he can do it as well. I will go back and try to figure out what else. But I know there were a few things there in that final scene. What the foreheads wasn't scripted. It was more like finding it, that the hand, you know, like, so there was.
Well, and you touching my hand. And saying you can go,
and then
which was the same thing that his son does to him when he goes. That was also an echo that we worked out. So it's just those little, and that's the great thing about being on a show for so long, is you know these characters so well, and you start finding the nuance. And I'll never forget when Kim Manners came on to direct the show, and we were finding those little nuances early on. and he just walked up and he was like, "That's your show. That's the show." You find those little beautiful moments and capitalize on those and keep those going. And he's like, people are going to tune in for that.
Yeah.